I thought overall very professional job by himself, because that couldn't have been easy, Michael.
One thing I would say is he will never start a match against SVB by kissing him on the lips. So that is one big difference.
Never say never, Michael.
Never say never, yeah. All things happen in the pool world. Jani Uski. Second time we've seen him on the main table this week. He beat Chris Melling yesterday.
Yeah, and against Chris, even though he got the win, he looks a little shaky at times, so let's see if he can start off looking more positive in this match against the World Nineball champion, SVB. Sort of got a cut shot here, hasn't he, in either pocket. This will all depend on where that cue ball takes its natural path. Looks like if he pots it in the bottom right, it's going to clip the 4. It also looks like it's going to clip the 8 if he pots it in the bottom left. So, see what Jani conjures up here.
"32 years of age, Jani Uski from Finland. They're just in the opening rack over on table 2. Jason Shaw, the former US Open champion, against Badr Alawadi. As you can see, Shaw at the table. Due a win, I think, in one of these big events. Been in and out of form this year. Hasn't performed in the very biggest tournaments quite the way he would have wanted to. But one of those players who you wouldn't be surprised to see just turn on his best form at any time.
Yeah, and I remember the World Masters, the UK Open, even the World Nineball Championships. He's played quite a lot of matches where he's been simply frozen out of the game, where his opponent has run 3s, 4s and 5 packs a couple of times in the set, and he's just been a spectator like us, Michael, and he was a big fan of this change. He wanted this break rule bringing in. He felt it adds a little bit of a better dimension to the game of Nineball. He's been training hard, he's been practicing 8 hours a day, he told me, and he's lost a stone or 2, so he's just trying to get his mindset ready for the big back end of our season.
Yeah, he achieved his life's ambition, winning the World Championship in April. He said in advance of it, as he was moving towards the final, that if he ended up winning it, it would be the greatest day of his life. But any perception at all that he might ease off a bit after that, after achieving his life's dream, has been swept away. He looks hungrier than ever for more success. But it doesn't look like he's going to get any success at all in this opening rack. He can't start a match better than this. And Finland's Jani Uski leads Shane van Boening 1-0. So the world champion trailing very early on. The man who we were describing as world champion until Shane van Boening beat him in that final in Milton Keynes back in April, Albin Ocean. Well, he's at the other end of his match. He's on the hill now, 8-3. He leads Michael Gavenciak. He played really well, Ocean, in his 2 matches yesterday. Looks like he's continuing that today. Dennis Grabber, a couple of racks away from single elimination, 7-2 up on Moritz Neuhausen. Close one between Konrad Jezushin and Loho Sum, the World Masters finalist. That one is 7-all. Tyler Steyer has just pulled back to 5-4 down against Alex Kazakis. And world semi-finalist this year, Abdullah Al-Yusuf, 7-2 down against Roman Hibbler. Eklan Kachi has won the opener against Nick Economopoulos. Jason Shaw, I can tell you, has taken that first rack in his match against Badr Al-Awadi. So much to stay on top of here. It's all available on Matchroom.Live. You can go to the Matchroom Pool Facebook page to follow the action on Table 1. And the Matchroom Pool YouTube channel has coverage of Table 2. Jani Uski off to a flyer.
Good break as we see the one ball pocketed in the side. Day 3 is where things really start to heat up in these tournaments. That's simply because we start to lose a lot more players. We have losers qualification round, we have winners qualification, and by the end of day's play, we'll have 64 players left.
Yeah, both sides of the draw will be played to a finish by the end of today. And then we will see each of the players who comes through on the winner's side randomly paired with someone from the loser's side. And then when we come back tomorrow morning, it's just straight knockout all the way from the last 64 to the crowning of the inaugural European Open champion here in Fulda on Sunday evening.
Is he playing the bank? He's had to go at the bank. It's a good shot. He's a dangerous opponent, Jani Uski. He really is.
Well, this is just what you need if you're going to have a chance against Shane van Boening. And you get to break in the opening rack. Just keep him in his chair as long as possible. Uski started out with a 9-1 win over Tobias Hurt, and then, as we said, he was on this main table yesterday against Chris Melling and beat him 9-4, so comfortable progress to this stage of the tournament. Let's just have a look in next door. Badr Al-Awadi set to go 1-0 with Jason Shaw. Dangerous opponent for Shaw today, Carl.
Yeah, very dangerous. Once he gets going, he can get on a roll, but Shaw's got to keep it tight over on the side table there, because if he stays with his opponent, he's been known to get a little bit edgy, so we'll keep a close eye on that one, as always.
Al-Awadi, who played with Omar Al-Shaheen for Kuwait at the World Cup in Brentwood back in June, beat Vietnam in the first round and then edged out only 7-6 by Singapore as they went in search of a quarter-final spot. This man did feature in the quarterfinals there. And he's about to round off another comprehensive rack. Reducing the world champion to a spectator thus far, Jani Uski leads Shane van Boening 2-0. So an opportunity for us to have a look at what's going on elsewhere. Eklund Kachi has now added the second rack against Nick Economopoulos. Babkan Melkonyan of Romania 7-4 up on Seneripa Zar of Sweden. Thomas Kaplan has a 3-0 lead over Finland's well-established Petri Mäkinen. Roman Hibbler on the hill now at 8-2 against Abdullah Al-Yusuf. 5-all in that interesting match between Alex Kazakis and Tyler Steyer, who showed some really good form on the main table yesterday. Konrad Yazushin is on the hill, but only at 8-7 against Loho Sum. Niels Fayen, the Dutchman, still going strong after all these years. 6-5 lead over Jose Alberto Delgado of Spain. And Dennis Graba is the latest player through. He's just closed out a 9-2 win over Moritz Neuhausen.
made another ball, but the 8 ball has blocked his path to the 1 ball. We're going to see SVB at the table very soon. Jani will be playing a push.
Lucius Yap is just 1 rack away now from going through to losers qualification round. Last year's US Open runner-up has a 7-3 advantage over the young Finnish player Riku Rompainen. And the other member of the Singapore team which got to the World Cup final is also going well, because Tolian Han leads Calvin Washburn of the Czech Republic 5-1. What's the conundrum facing him here, Carl?
Well, has he played the push yet? Did he push to there? Or are we still on that shot? This is what we're talking about with the shot clock. I mean, how long has he been here deciding on this push out? This has been over a minute easy. Just no need for it. It's ludicrous.
Well, it doesn't help you either. That's the thing. I mean, it's self-defeating to take that long over a shot, especially in a situation like that. You've got a few options. Decide between them. Keep looking at it, you're going to start seeing all sorts of crazy options. Seen that a few times. A few players lose their head in those circumstances.
So you might be thinking, why does he not just get down and pop the 1? But the red 3 ball at the bottom is next. Cue ball would be running through a little bit, so he would probably hook himself. So he's got to try and play a safety shot. It's gone wrong a little bit. He was trying to get the 1 on the other side of the pink ball. Where's it ended up? We'll know in a sec. Well, it's not too bad, is it? It's not left a pot for Shane.
So Shane van Boening finally arrives at the table, having already lost more racks in this match than he did in both of his first 2 matches put together. 9-1, he beat Martin Breuer, and then it was 9-0 against Arif Awadi yesterday.
Nice shot there from Shane. Played it with a little bit of English. Just trying to get the 1 up towards the top.
Uski played both of his matches prior to this on Tuesday, Carl, so you might say he's had a day to rest, but I think you'd prefer to be in the opposite situation, wouldn't you? Have the momentum, rather than having a day away from the table.
So he has gone for the jump cue. Got to be careful, because he's got to hit this on the right hand side, and that's close to hitting the 5. He's not even jumped over the ball. That's very rare at this level. Usually you see these These guys get over the ball. Yeah, the 9-ball was just impeding his cue action a little bit, so that's obviously what's caused that mistake.
Roman Hibbler is the 6th man through to single elimination. He's completed that win over World Championship semi-finalist Abdullah Al Yusuf, 9-2. Ran out from the break 3 times in that one, which is a decent effort this week. Now there's that jump shot once more. Shane van Boening turned 39 last month, which is actually hard to believe. Not because he looks older, but because it feels like he's just been around so long. And remarkable to think after all these years, Carl, he's still clearly the USA's best player.
Yeah, that he is. He's going to have to play a bank shot here, though. That's slightly gone wrong. He's a big favourite to make this shot, but it is not what he intended.
Uski's streak of runouts didn't continue, just didn't get the fortune he needed from the break. Shane van Boening has opened his account here. Uski now leads 2-1. Riku Rompainen's latest adventure on the international pool stage is over. He's been beaten 8-3 by Lucius Yap on the loser's side. Albin Ocean has closed it out on the winner's side, beating Michael Gavenciak 9-3. Don't think we'd given you a confirmed result on that, but we have now. And Konrad Yazushin has finished it against Loho Sum. 9-7 that finished. 4 runouts from the break for the pole. And there is Riku Rompainen making his exit. He's come here and made a bit of an impact again. Won some matches, as he did at the UK Open. Right at the very, very start of what may well turn out to be a wonderful career. This man has already got a wonderful career behind him, and he wants to keep building on it. And also, on the foothold he's now established in this match, he trails 2-1.
Well, Shane is regarded by many of his peers as having the best pool break in the game. But to be quite honest, he has not broke well yet with this new break format. Watched him yesterday, he didn't break good. And I know it's still early days, but that is another poor break.
Uski did make it to single elimination at the World Championship this year, but went no further, beaten 11-2 in the last 64 by Alex Kazakis. Of course, went on from there to reach the semi-finals. Has he got a piece of the two here?
Yeah, it's tough to tell from here, isn't it? Couldn't really do much with the cue ball there, Shane. He just had to swerve and kind of pot the one and see where the cue ball went.
Well, if there's a Roar of the Week prize at the European Open, someone has just claimed it. Carl, I think you know who it was.
That was the shouter, Elliot Sanderson.
Oh, of course. Who
Not
else?
that we can see, but
Who
we
else?
just know. So, Michael will update you with what score he has just beat somebody.
Yeah, well, he's over on the loser's side, of course, and he was 7-6 up on Johannes Schmidt. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's won 8-6.
He was 6-2 down in that match as well, so the emotions coming out. He was booked to place in losers qualification round.
And he'll play Abdul Al Yusuf.
It was a right old scream, that, wasn't it? And then he fell off my chair, Michael.
Yeah, that really was quite something. Imagine if he wins the whole tournament. I'll bring the earplugs on Sunday night just in case, if he does make it to the final. Jason Shaw may well be in that final himself. He's starting to pull away just a little in the early stages against Badr Al-Awadi. It's now 3-1. And the door is opened once again for Van Boening. Poor shot really from Uski. But how does he get to the 4 here, Carl? It's a thin cut, this.
Yeah, I'll probably play the bank shot. I think the pink 4 goes in the same pocket. And if he can hold it, it might even go in the centre. Yeah, so he's playing for the pink 4 in the same pocket, and he's perfect.
Yeah, well called. And looks pretty routine from here.
5 to the 6 ball. He's going to need a good angle on this purple 5, because the green 6 doesn't go past that 9 ball, so still a little bit of work to be done here. It's all about this shot though. Where does the cue ball finish? Doesn't want to be on the rail. He's got a nice angle. Has he got a nice angle? Good view of the 6 ball there. You can see how much of the side pocket Shane has got if he chooses to play the cue ball down here for that pocket.
So it took a while for Shane Van Boening to get involved in this match at all, quite literally. But from 2-0 down, it hasn't taken long at all to level it. It's 2-all. much to follow here. Winners qualification round going on. Let's have a look at some of the scores. Babkin Melkonyan in a real battle with Seneri Bazar. Melkonyan leading 7-6 there. Eklund Kachi 3-2 up on Nikokonomopoulos. So the man from Greece making it difficult for the Mosconi Cup regular there. Max Lechner is 4-2 down to Mateusz Śniegocki. Sebastian Batkowski of Poland 3-0 up on Austria's Mario He. Thomas Kaplan, another Polish player, coasting 6-0 now over Petri Makinen. John Morrow of Canada, highly rated player, 7-1 downs to Mats Schietner. Tyler Steyer now leading 6-5 against Alex Kazakis. And one more score to give you, Niels Fayen trailing 7-6 as he comes towards the finish of his match against Jose Alberto Delgado.
Didn't pot the one, but he's made another ball of Shane, and he's got a nice look at this one. If he can just find a path back for the two in the right centre, he could well be looking good to take the lead. You'd do well to name 3 pool players in the world who have a better cue ball than this man at the table.
But which players might be in that conversation, in your view?
Well, you could maybe say Joshua Filler, Albin Ocean. Then I'm stuck.
Well, he's left himself a little more to do here than he might have fancied.
Well, that's commentator's curse strengths again, isn't it? It always seems to happen. Jason Shaw's going well. He's just took a 4-1 lead over Badar Halawadi.
You talk about cue ball control, obviously Shaw, a wonderful player. He wouldn't quite be in the same category, but then he has a wonderful potting game that can make up for that.
That was actually a fine example of what we were talking about. That was not an easy shot. To thread the cue ball there, 2 rails to find that little window, just to leave yourself a pot. And the pace, everything about that shot was difficult.
A good standard. It's going to be the 3rd break and run they've had between them in the first 5 racks. It's the first, though, for Shane van Boening. And as a result of that, he's going to lead for the first time in the match. 3 on the bounce means 3-2. Just keeping an eye on the loser side. Tolian Han, who did so well at the World Cup with Singapore, now on the hill at 7-1 against Calvin Washburn, looking to go through to losers qualification round. Mika van Berkel, young player from the Netherlands, who we saw earlier today, knocking out Robbie Capito. Well, he's playing Dimitri Jungo of Switzerland, who also did well at the World Cup. 2-all in that one at the moment. Nothing much to update you on from where we last stood in winners qualification. Imran Majid has just started out against Mustafa Alnar, and Majid has taken the opening rack there.
That's better. I believe that's the first time he's actually potted that one ball in the side. That is what he's trying to do. That is his aim.
So he's got the lead for the first time in the match. One thing he's also got the lead in is the current standings, the Nineball World Rankings. And the initial list under this format was devised effectively by committee at the start of the year. But designated events allocate points based on prize money throughout 2022. When we get to the end of the year, we'll have the first proper points-based list, and that will be in effect all the way after that, being updated after every tournament. Now at the moment, Van Boening is out in front in the race to be the first points-based #1 at the end of the year. It isn't a massive lead over Joshua Filler, but these big fields, open events with the big first prizes, play a huge role in it. If Van Boening could win another one this week, he's starting to build a substantial lead then.
Quick question, Michael. Shane's obviously at the top, USA. Who's second and third for USA?
From the USA point of view, well, the reason you're asking that is because of the Mosconi Cup situation. Well, it's a long way down because you've got Van Boening there at #1. Van Boening, rather. Oscar Dominguez is next highest at number 32. And then after that, you've got Skylar Woodward, Shane Wolford, and then others like Nicholas DeLeon and Billy Thorpe are close to that top 5. Now, of course, the 5 places on the Mosconi Cup teams won't all be decided by the rankings. What we do know is that the leading European and the leading American at the end of this week will both be guaranteed their places. And we know for certain Shane Van Boening is going to be the leading American. Still a race between Joshua Filler and Francisco Sanchez Ruiz for that first nailed-on place on the European team. That's back-to-back breaking runs now for Shane Van Boening, and he's won 4 racks in a row. He leads Jani Uski of Finland 4-2. I think that underlines the situation with the Americans, though, doesn't it, Carl? I mean, the fact that you've got Van Boening there at #1 and then nobody else until you get down to 32.
Yeah, it has been a big problem. But this season, it's been impressive to see a lot more American players coming to these big major tournaments, because at one time it was only SVB.
It's been only SVB the last couple of racks here. He's gone 2 clear now.
One ball again off the break. He is getting in the zone.
Well, it's ever since you said he hadn't figured out the break yet. Suddenly he's doing everything right. He's so far ahead of all the other Americans. I mean, you look back over the last few years, Skylar Woodward, the only other American player who's been achieving any sort of consistency in these big international events. So of the other Americans, Carl, is there anyone you feel can come through and even get to a couple of semis or quarters in the big tournaments and give Van Boening a little bit of competition and something to think about in terms of being America's best player?
Wow, that's a tricky one, really. It's difficult to see at the minute because it's about building momentum up and gaining that experience. And obviously Shane, he's won the World Nineball Championships this year. He's won 2 World Masters. He's won tournaments all over the world. He's well travelled, and I think that is a big part of your journey into trying winning one of these big events. It's the players that seem to be well travelled, and they're the ones that seem to be winning these big majors.
And even when you look at that, Oscar Dominguez, the next highest ranked American in the standings at the moment. I mean, he's been around a long time. You've got Skylar Woodward just behind him. He's no newcomer either, really. Then you've got Shane Wolford, who I know Jeremy's been talking up as a player of potential, got a lot of talent, but hasn't really done much yet. He's had a couple of good wins over top players, but no deep runs in these big events. He had problems with his cue going missing this week, of course, which didn't help him.
Yeah, and I think obviously Shane and Skylar, they might well be the only two Americans left in the event.
Well, Tyler Steyer's still there. He's leading 6-5 at the moment against Alex Kazakis. I've been waiting for a few years for Steyer to really produce. He did play well on the main table yesterday, and Kazakis is obviously not an easy opponent to beat, so that would suggest, although we can't see it, that he's playing well again today.
Yeah, Tyler Steyr, he works hard. Could he be the one to break through? Talking of breaking through, Jani Uski from Finland played well at the World Cup pool with Mika Immonen. He got off to a good start in this match now. He needs to come with a couple of good shots. And that was a good start, that was a good opener. We need another good one here. Look at where the two ballers finished.
Yeah, they got to the quarterfinals of the World Cup in Essex back in June, Finland, and started off with a brilliant win over Austria, 7-1. Team of Albin Ocean and Max Lechner being beaten out of sight. Then they beat Estonia in the next round and gave Singapore a good run for their money in the quarters. Went down 9-6. Third at the European Championships Nineball in Slovenia in March. Never looked comfortable, but hang about. Where's it going? Oh, you can't believe that. He's missed that by such a long way. It was a bit of a clunky shot, really. And then it's travelled all the way around the table and back into his intended pocket.
Well, he's come with a full railer for the fans.
Yeah, now ask him to do it again. Going back to the World Cup, Tolian Han, who made such an impact there with Singapore. Well, he's through to losers qualification. Just finished out an 8-1 win over Calvin Washburn. And it's now 6-all in winners qualification between Alex Kazakis and Tyler Steyr. This wasn't quite what Uski had in mind to leave himself. Should be okay, I would think.
I think Oscar Dominguez is still in as well, isn't he?
Yep, he's playing Daniel Maciol in winners qualification, and as we've said, he could break into that Mosconi team once again with a good run here. It'd certainly help him a long way. And Uski has floundered on that 6.
Yeah, he's not put to good use that fluke, that immense fluke he had on the blue too. Can Shane see the potting angle?
We've seen this in a few matches now, where one player comes in as the big favourite, the other one starts off well, and then things start to go a little bit against them, and the confidence dips, the head drops a bit, they start messing things up a bit positionally, miss balls you wouldn't normally expect them to. Uski seems to be going through that experience at the moment. So it's going to be 5 on the bounce. Didn't continue his sequence of break and runs. Shane van Boening growing in dominance here. He now leads Jani Uski by 3 at 5-2. Dominguez, who we mentioned there, he's played Mosconi before, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. He has played the Mosconi Cup. Seemed to play okay in it, but then I don't know. I think he seemed to make a mistake, and then it affected him, and it was all looking sort of promising from what I remember, and then it all kind of fell apart. But I'm sure he wants to try and get back in that team, and I don't think he'll be too bad in the team, to be honest. I think he would be okay for USA.
Eklund Kachi and Nick Economopoulos 4-all now. It's 7-all between Babkin Melkonyan and Seneri Bazar. Karol Skaversky 3-0 up on Mark Beisterbosch. Skaversky 10 years on from that wonderful year he had, which included winning the World Masters. Mieszko Fortunski, part of the current generation, you might say, of Polish players. Very determined young man, and he's leading Spencer Oliver 5-0. And Thomas Kaplan of Poland is on the hill at 8-2 against Petri Makinen. Niels Fayen is another winner. 9-7 over Jose Alberto Delgado. So now it's Uski having to come from some distance behind. Perhaps an opening here. Jason Shaw over on table 2, just to update you, is cruising along. 6-1 up now against Badr Al-Awadi. That was the sort of match you looked at and thought, well, that could go close. And it may yet, but Shaw really dominant at the moment. And Al-Awadi in a spot of bother there. And he was left with a tough 2. Could have turned out worse.
Obviously can't see the potting angle, can he not, Michael? From there, it just looks like he can pot this ball.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking he's taking a really long time. Now that looks a little more doubtful. Still think it's there for him, though. Let's find out. Well, we were both deceived, Carl.
Yeah, he couldn't see the potting angle, and he's laid a very good hook snooker. Shane's going to be kicking at this. Probably trying to swerve round the 9 a wee bit. Kick off the back rail. One ball towards that right centre just before. Leave a bit of distance. Oh, can he get to the right hand side rail? Well, he can. So this also offers up a bit of fun as well for Shane. Maybe he'll try and go below the 8 on the right hand side of the table. One rail straight into it to pot the 3. If he goes 2 rails to send the 1 up the table, the cue ball might pop the 3 and leave him hooked. So what's he playing? Is he going 2 rails? He went 1 rail because I think he was scared of hooking himself going 2, but he's given up ball in hand. The safety from Jani has paid off.
Well, it's never gone, is it? Until it's completely over. But really, if Uski was to fall much further behind, you're getting to the realms of it being almost unthinkable that he could turn it round. So really, this is an opportunity he's just got to make the most of. You feel if he doesn't, Van Boening will be eyeing up a place in single elimination already. And just see it out from there. So big moments these for Jani Uski. This European Open, part of a year of innovation in 9-ball pool 2022. We've also had the first ever UK Open, a big success at the Copper Box in London back in May. But the new 9-ball world rankings. The World Championship has been revived magnificently since being taken over again by Matchroom a couple of years ago. Still got the US Open in Atlantic City in October. And then the Moscone Cup returns to the States for the first time in 3 years, just before Christmas, after 2 stagings in England. Jason Shaw will hope to be a big part of all of those things, and he looks to be heading for the last 64 here. 7-1 up now against Badr Alawadi over on table 2. He's taking his time over these, Carl, isn't he? I mean, it's relatively routine stuff, but maybe just getting inside his own head a little bit? Or is this just his natural rhythm, do you feel?
I think he started off the match at a better pace that seemed to suit him. Now he seems to have slowed down. Maybe he's slowed down because he knows how important this particular rack is. Of course, all racks are important, but just the fact that if you lose this, you're going 6-2 down, shame to break. So it is a big rack.
See, if there was a shot clock, he obviously would have got down much quicker to play that, and he wouldn't have seen any problem with it. It's like you see things that can go wrong.
Yep, that is correct. And that is what all the professionals often talk about as well. You always talk yourself out of a shot. Usually your instinct, when you play at such a high level, usually your instinct is pretty much the right shot anyway.
And you look at that shot in the 7 that he took a long time looking at there just a few seconds ago. Well, I mean, what else was he going to do other than what he ultimately ended up doing anyway? So having lost 5 in a row, Jani Uski got his chance there. And really all he had to do was avoid any silly mistakes, and he's managed to do that. So he's back in it at 5-3 down. Dimitri Jungo is close to 4-3 behind against Mika van Berkel, the 16-year-old from the Netherlands, over on the loser's side. Now on the winner's side, Oliver Szolnocki 2-0 down against So Shaw. Tyler Steyer leading 7-6 against Alex Kazakis. And Aydin Pikniak of Bosnia and Herzegovina on the hill now against the Finnish veteran Mika Immonen. That one is 8-6. David Alcadi lost the opening rack against Davy Piergiovanni of Italy, but Alcadi is now 3-1 up, looking to play much better than he did on the main table yesterday. 7-all between Babkin Melkonyan and Seneri Pazar. And Imran Majid has now gone 3-1 in front against Mustafa Alnar of Turkey.
Good news, bad news. He's got a shot on this 2, and he's potted a ball, but the pink 4 ball doesn't go past the 8, so there's a bit of work to be done there. But where the red 3 ball is, it's not going to be too difficult to get on the pink 4, so all in all, this is a good chance. I think it would benefit Jani just to speed up his pace a little bit. See the shot, get down, pot it, get over. Maybe worry about things a little bit more. Take a bit more time when it's a safety shot or a kick. But when it's like this, just, you know, play the game. Get on. Pot these balls. You know you could do this, Jani.
I think Jeremy put it very well when I was on with him yesterday. He was saying that some players almost have a checklist. They want to get absolutely every single thing right in their head from a technical point of view, what the cue ball is going to do before they play the shot. And as Jeremy said, sport just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and I suppose that would be hard for somebody like myself to vision that, because that's just not what I was about. I was just all natural and just fall into the shot. I suppose that is something to look at.
Anyway, let's not be too negative about Uski because he's getting the job done here. He got his chance in the previous rack and he took it well. He still looks a good favourite to get back to 5-4 behind, even though he's clearly not happy with where he's left himself on the 7 here. Jason Shaw on the hill so quickly. 8-1 against Badr Alawadi. One of those horrible ones you just can almost get comfortable on it, but not quite. Sometimes feel pool players would rather cut off their finger than have to use the bridge.
Yeah, a lot of the American players and a lot of the European pool players are just not very good with the bridge at all.
Are there any players who you think have mastered it? Playing with the bridge?
Yeah, the players from England.
Oh. It's that kind of thing, is it?
Well, just I think obviously coming from England, we've all, you know, on a Friday night gone for a game of snooker, and with it being a 12-foot table, it's just something you're used to. Ralph played a shot with the bridge last night. It was awful. You'd have done better, Michael.
I think this has been your theme today, talking down me as a pool man. You've not seen me play.
You're undercover hustler.
That's the best kind. You know, Chris Melling's done more than go for a game of snooker on a Friday night. He played on the Professional Snooker Tour and beat some very good players. Jani Uski is up against a very good player here in Shane Van Boening, and he's dominated the last 2 racks. Closed it back now to 5-4. Nick Economopoulos is giving Eklund Kachi a few things to think about. The man from Greece leading 6-5. Mateusz Sniagotsky 5-3 up on Max Lechner. You can see some of the scores going through there. Imran Majid 4-1 up now against Mustafa Alnar. Mieszko Fortunski leading Spencer Oliver 5-2. 7-all in that match between Alex Kazakis and Tyler Steyer. I think that's a really big match for Steyer, you know, because we're talking about Americans trying to break through. If he could beat a player like Kazakis, it's going to give him such a lift.
It's going to be dry, but at least the one ball is jammed on the blue 2.
And just going back to Kachi there, Carl, as we said, he's 5-2 down against Nick Economopoulos. Now, don't know whether it was with you or Jeremy, I was having a conversation about the possibility of some new names forcing their way into the European team for the Mosconi. But then you look at it and say, well, who can they possibly eliminate from that team? And obviously the likes of Filler and Ocean, you'd expect them to be there. Kachi is someone who have become accustomed to being on the team. He could be vulnerable if he doesn't start getting some better results.
Yeah, I'm afraid he could be, because, as you said, you always feel like at the moment, Filler, Albin and Shaw are a bit of a lock, wouldn't you? That's the problem with the Mosconi. Well, not the problem, but...
Well, Shaw is so good in the Mosconi that he only needs to show a little bit of form, and at the very least he'll get a captain's pick, you would think.
Yeah, Darren Appleton was like that. You know, Darren could go out, you know, through the season. I don't think Darren ever actually qualified through the rankings. He always sort of won a big tournament, and then because he had, you know, good history with the event and he'd played well, obviously the captain always looked at him as a wild card, and I think Shaw's kind of took that role these days. And
something else he has taken is his match against Badr Alawadi. would have been favourite to win, but I don't think people would have expected it to be as comfortable as it was at 9-1. So Jason Shaw, the next name, through to single elimination. And just to wrap up that Mosconi conversation, Carl, you look at Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. May clinch his place this week. Even if he doesn't, you fancy he'll get there eventually. So with Al-Qaedi in the mix as well, if he can pull out a big week somewhere along the way, it looks more competitive than ever to be in that five-man side.
Yeah, just look at the big names that have made it through the winner's side of the draw, though. Alvin Ocean, Filler, Shaw, SVB's, of course, playing right now. You know, all the big guns.
FSR, who we mentioned there. Dennis Grabber, who you could see maybe at a push winning one of these events. Matt Shetner, by the way, is the latest player through from Norway. Got to a Euro Tour final last year. He's beaten the highly rated Canadian John Morra 9-2. Tyler Steyer, yeah, was that what you were about to?
I was just going to say, very talented player in all match yet now.
Yeah,
very good player.
And the same can be said of Tyler Steyer, who's on the hill now against Alex Kazakis at 8-7. So Shaw 3-0 up now against Oliver Szolnocki. One to keep an eye on. When the draw is made, players who come through on the winner's side may well have some names they'll be looking at and thinking, well, I don't want to draw him. Coming through from the losers section, Victor Zielinski potentially could be one of those. Aloysius Yap, Elliot Sanderson, Skylar Woodward, Tolian Han, Tony Drago, of course, and Low Ho Sun. These are all players who could be coming through on the loser's side. I
think he's got away with one there. It is an easy kick, it has to be said. Shane can easy kick and stick the cue ball there. Send this one up towards the top rail. Well, he's not hit it how he wanted, and he's stuck it out, so it's not an easy chance, but it is a chance to tie this match up. Got to take care of this long one ball though, hasn't he?
Yeah. Bit of a test of nerve, this one. But if he comes through it, well, he couldn't reasonably hope for a much better layout. Oh, he just spent much too long over that, didn't he? I mean, whatever about taking your time considering the shot. It just took forever to pull the trigger. Folks at home might have thought the picture had frozen. And that was a big moment in the match, you know. One good shot there, and the chance to make it 3 racks in a row and go 5-all was all there for him. Oh, running into the 8 was kind.
Yeah, he chanced his arm there, didn't he? He wasn't quite sure where the cue ball was going to go and ended up just firing it through all the balls. And look at that there, to hit the 3 like that, come round and hit this 8 full. Wow.
Cue ball's still going to have to travel some distance to get from 2 to 3.
I think at first glance he might be able to go 3 rails, come down, just miss that 5 ball, and then maybe the cue ball bump into the pink. It might come that path. Off the 3rd rail, the cue ball would run into the pink. Maybe if it hits it full, that'd be ideal. Let's have a look. Is that what he's playing? Well, he's played safe. Decided it wasn't for him. Fair enough.
Just to say, I'm not sure we've given you the result on Thomas Kaplan. He's beaten Petri Mäkinen 9-3, so we can now confirm that Kaplan is through. A couple of Polish players have advanced at this stage to single elimination. Konrad Jususin, 9-7 against Loho Sum. Had 4 breaking runs in that one. A lot of players getting up around 6 or 7 now, so it could be one of those times of the day where we see a lot of winners in a flurry coming up very shortly. Senari Pazar, actually, as I speak, has just gone to the hill at 8-7 against Babkin Melkonyan.
Taking a chance here is Jani, just banking this 1 ball up into a cluster of balls and hoping he gets away with it, and I believe he has.
No definitive record anywhere. We don't know for absolute certain who is the all-time leading money winner in pool. It's pretty close between Shane Van Boening and Efren Reyes, both around the $2 million mark. You have to feel 1 or 2 more good years from Van Boening, which it's pretty inevitable he's going to have. And he will clearly have claimed that distinction.
Nicely done there from Shane. Good vision. Using that pink 4 as a stopper. Ball in hand for SVB. Table's tricky though, isn't it? Is there a possible combination on 3 onto the green onto the 8?
Yeah, when Uski attempted that long pot that he was down on the shot for so long, you felt if he got it, the way the balls were sitting, it was a very good chance to make it 5-all, but just with each passing shot, as you say, they've become a little more awkward, and It's not so straightforward now. With ball in hand, Van Boening will be keen to reassert himself in this match here. He looked like he was taking a very firm grip on it at 5-2.
Just trying to play down into this little window, and that is beautifully judged. It really is so easy to hit that ball too hard or not hit it hard enough, and this is what we were speaking about, is cue ball control. Simply amazing.
Well, it was a tiny little area he was looking at, really, that he wanted to be in.
That'll do nicely as well. He now has an angle, he can get round for the 5. And now he's in prime position.
Yeah, for anyone who may not be familiar with the game, that's a combination shot. Any pot is legal and keeps you at the table as long as the first ball you strike is the lowest numbered ball remaining on the table.
He made a bit of a mess of that combination and all, so this is thin. Nicely done. Very good at that type of shot is Shane when it's super thin.
We got a great look there at the sheer focus of the man in his eyes. So Uski had at least one half-decent chance to make it 3 in a row and draw level, instead of which Shane Van Boening is back on the winning trail. He's 3 away from a place in single elimination. He leads Jani Uski now 6-4. Just looking at the loser's side, Mika van Berkel, 16-year-old from the Netherlands. Saw him on the other main table earlier, but he's 6-4 down now against Dimitri Jungo, so a couple of racks away from going out. But what about the loser's side? Well, Oliver Sholnocki was 4-0 down to Sochaux, but he's got a couple back now, so it's 4-2. It's gone hill-hill in that match on table 11 between Alex Kazakis and Tyler Steyer. That's going to be a very interesting one to follow to the finish. Aydin Pikniak of Bosnia and Herzegovina has come through in a hill-hill conclusion against Mika Immonen, so a 9-8 win. 3-all now in David O'Cady's match against Davy Pierre Giovanni. Mieszko Fortunski only 6-5 in front now against Spencer Oliver. Mario He is 6-3 down to Sebastian Batkovsky. Imran Majid going well at 5-2 over Mustafa Alnar. Mateusz Sniagotsky leads Max Lechner 6-4. And Eklund Kachi has turned it round a bit, now 7-6 in front against Nick Economopoulos.
Shane still struggling with the break. That is something I never thought I would end up saying.
We've seen a bit of this, haven't we? I mean, I think we saw it earlier today on this table with Michael Schneider. Players seem to maybe figure it out, but only for a couple of racks.
I'm amazed we've not seen Shane break down the middle. I know there's not a guaranteed ball, but he breaks so hard and gets the balls moving better than anyone else.
Another name to add to the list for single elimination, Mohamed Soufi of Germany. 9-2 win over David Jalman, good player from the Czech Republic. Soufi had 4 breaking runs. Another result to bring you. Alex Kazakis has won that deciding rack against Tyler Steyer. So a 9-8 win for the former World Masters champion for Greece. And that means Steyer will be next on this table to play a Lucius Yap in losers qualification. So one of them will be going out. Mika van Berkel could be going out as well. He now trails 7-4 against Dimitri Yongo, who just needs one more rack now to go through to the losers qualification round.
Kick the 2-ball in the side.
And that was the intention, surely.
I believe so, yeah. At the pace he played it. Tricky shot coming up, though. That's tricky if you want to attack this table. And the way he's gearing up for it. Oh, he was gearing up for it.
We love a close finish, don't we? And it looks like we're going to get one on table 15 because Nick Economopoulos has now levelled at 7-all with Eklund Kachi.
Played safe. Don't blame him one bit. It was horrible to attack the table. Keep the pressure on.
I can also tell you the next match on table 2 is going to feature Viktor Zielinski playing to preserve his place in the tournament, because that will be in losers qualification. And it's going to be a tough one for him, whoever he plays, because he's going to face the loser of that match between Kachi and Economopoulos. It's starting to happen, isn't it? We're seeing big names starting to play each other now. And it's going to be the case more and more over the next few days. Seneri Pazar has just gone through. The man who beat Torsten Homan on the opening morning. A 9-7 winner this afternoon here in Fulda against Babkan Melkonyan.
Tried to pot the purple 5. Did Jani, and it's not come off. So Shane can cut this 3 in. Good pot. It's a useful flick. And now he looks good to extend the lead back to 3.
I've talked about how he's made all the right noises about wanting to build on what he achieved in terms of finally becoming world champion for the first time earlier this year. He would have loved to back it up the following month in his return to England in the UK Open, and he was making absolutely serene progress until he got to the quarter-finals and then was given a bit of a shock by Skylar Woodward. Came through that one in the end and then played that semi-final against Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. You may remember Carly got into that dispute early on about a refereeing call that was made against him. A correct one, I think, anyway. Really, after that, he wasn't himself and ended up losing that match quite comfortably. Feels like quite a while now since he was 3 racks clear at 5-2. But now he's right back into that position. 3 ahead once more, and he only needs 2 further racks to advance here. It's now 7-4. It's been a day to remember for Mieke van Berkel, the 16-year-old from the Netherlands, after his win against Robbie Capito on table 2 earlier. But it's also the last day of his involvement in this inaugural European Open because he's just been beaten 8-4 by Dimitri Yongo on the loser's side. So he bows out. Now back on the winner's side, Oliver Szolnocki, 4-0 down against So Shaw, has battled all the way back to level now at 4 apiece. David O'Cady in a bit of a battle with Davy Pierre Giovanni. That one's 3-all. Mieszko Fortunski 7-5 in front now against Spencer Oliver. Karol Skawersky with a 6-3 lead over Mark Bijsterbosch. Mateusz Sniagotsky closing in on a useful win over Max Lechner at 7-4. And it's 7-all now between Kachi and Economopoulos.
Oh, the dreaded scratch for SVB. He nearly potted the 1 ball in the side. But a random ball has kicked it in the top pocket there. You see it was a 6 ball.
Yeah, and apart from that run that he had, sort of middle of the match, or maybe slightly earlier than that, you might say, he's not been able to get any momentum going at all, and it's not been entirely his fault. It's been things like maybe what you've just seen there, or not getting the look positionally. And that's why Uski is still in with a chance of winning this match. He's got to win 5 of the 6 remaining racks. Mieszko Fortunski on the hill now as he looks to shake off the challenge of Spencer Oliver. It's 8-5. Not the afternoon that man in his chair had in mind.
Uski's well still in this match if he can just pot these remaining 4 balls. It's only 7-5.
Yeah, and you would have imagined if he was to have a chance, he'd have to produce the performance of his life, but it hasn't been. He's not played badly, you wouldn't say, but he too has struggled to get any real momentum behind him since that good start he made, a couple of breaking runs early on.
Maybe needs to draw this ball back. If he goes forward, he's going to have to play it with loads of left. You can actually see where he's aiming on the cue ball. He's playing high left. That's to get the cue ball spinning off this top rail. Nicely done.
So Van Boening came into this rack looking to get to the hill. He scratched off the break though, and Jani Uski has made him pay for it. It's 7-5. And another chance to check the scores and all these other fascinating matches going on. Oliver Szolnocki has really turned it round now against So Shaw and leads for the first time at 5-4. David O'Cady is in front now against Davy Piergiovanni at 4-3. Sebastian Bakowski with a 6-5 lead over Mario He. Another Polish player, Karol Skawerski, 6-3 up on Mark Bijsterbosch. Imran Majid still going after all these years. Also 6-3 in front against Mustafa Alnar. Another British player behind though, Chris Alexander. 5-4 he trails against Valery Kulians. Mateusz Sniagotsky 7-5 in front against Max Lechner. Nick Economopoulos on the hill now. 8-7 in front against Eklund Kachi. Naoki Oi has taken the opener against Jan van Lierop, and so has Wojciech Szewczyk against Darren Appleton.
You can see the difference in the break, can't you, Michael? Just the last couple of breaks from Shane, and just that break alone. I know he hasn't got a shot on the lowest ball there, but that's just pool. But just look at the one ball. Straight in that pocket, and it just looks a cleaner hit.
Yeah, and even if it's only for a short while, it's a rare day that you're outperforming Shane Van Boening in the breaking department. That was such a key to his World Championship success, wasn't it? He just broke about as well as anyone has ever done.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when you have got that one ball on the spot and the wing ball, he's flying in the pocket. I suppose it bodes for quicker games and more run-outs, but from a player's perspective, that's not really what you want, is it? You know, at the end of the day, take this situation now. All the balls are in the open. You're not going to see many safety shots or kick shots until somebody gets a go at running the table. So even though it might seem a little slower than usual because of this new break, from a player's perspective, it has to be far better.
You think back along the way in the World Championship to that amazing match he had against Mika Immonen when he won from 10-3 down. I mean, that would be so hard to do something like that now.
Well, it could be done, but it would mean that you would have to outclass your opponent a little bit more. It would mean, for instance, Mika's probably going to get a few more shots at the table, as opposed to just sat watching most of it. That's where it becomes a little harsh.
Yeah, it would need to be more of an all-round performance rather than just building it around the break.
So there we've seen the mistake safety from Shane. He's got to be marked down as a poor one. Trying to get the cue ball behind the 8 and the 9 as he shows his disgust.
That's come just far enough. Well, there's no doubt about it now. Uski knows a famous win is there for the taking. And Boening was playing pretty well earlier in the match when he won those 5 racks in a row. And from there was a sense of inevitability about what was going to happen. He'd see it out comfortably from there, but it hasn't played out that way at all. Well, Boening's level of performance just seems to be deteriorating little by little as the contest goes on. Just to let you know, a change of plan over on table 2. It's going to be Mika Immonen against Dimitri Jungo. They'll be starting any minute now. I assume that's because we were still waiting on the outcome of another match to see who was going to be playing against Jelinski on the loser's side, so it makes sense to keep things moving along. And that's what Jani Uski is doing in this match here.
That was a nice shot. Cued that one very nice indeed.
Ooh, this is a little tester, given the circumstances. You could see him raising the hand there, just wanting the cue ball to slow up.
Yeah, from this angle, as long as he plays it into the rail at a good pace, not too soft, not too hard. We've seen these pockets swallow the balls this week.
Ooh, it wriggled a little. It wriggled. But you know, every time it looks as though Shane van Boening might be about to pull clear in this match, Jani Uski shows us he's got other ideas. And this time he's pulled back to only 1 behind. That's 2 in a row for him. Van Boening's lead cut to 7-6.
Well, I can't believe that Nineball went in, to be brutally honest. The pace he played it to hit there and still fall. Oh. Shane's under the gun.
Naoki Ooi 3-0 up against Jan van Lierop of the Netherlands. That's in winners qualification round. Imran Majid closing in on victory, 7-3 up on Mustafa Alnar. Mateusz Sniagotsky 1 away from the hill as well at 7-5 against Max Lechner. Karol Skawersky 7-3 up on Mark Bijsterbosch. Close one between Sebastian Barkowski and Mario He. It's 6-all there. Mieszko Fortunski still looking for one more. 8-5 over Spencer Oliver. David Al-Kadi now 2 in front at 5-3 against Davy Pierre Giovanni. And Oliver Szolnocki continues his winning streak, now leading So Shaw by 6 racks to 4.
Nikos Yiannopoulos is playing catchy. He's leading 8-7. He's at the table. He needs 3 balls to send catchy to LQ, losers qualification. Yanni's breaking. Misses the 1 ball. It's going to be dry. Where's the one going to finish? Well, Shane can pop this in the corner, but it is tough. It is real tough.
Yeah, talking about catchy there. I mean, he's come in off the back of getting to a Euro Tour final just a few days ago. As we said, he needs better results, I think, in the very biggest events to keep his run of Mosconi appearances going. But he did come in good form. Still time for him to turn that round. It's only 8-7 down against Economopoulos.
Yeah, I think he's lost in 2 Euro Tour finals this season as well, so he's ticking along okay. Sometimes we put too much emphasis on the winners, I suppose. It's not easy winning out there, but a lot of players are going deep. Shane needs to just focus on this pot. And he's missed it. Has he got away with one?
Just briefly returning to Kachi, I think the issue with him is that sometimes in the long events like this that go on for a full week, he finds it hard to keep his head from start to finish and keep his focus. So maybe that's what he really needs to work on.
Yeah, Nikos got the win. He's beat Kachi 9-7. Kachi's over to losers qualification. Nikos goes through. Good to see him back playing in these big major events.
It's not going to be any easier for Kachi now. He's going to have to beat Viktor Zielinski in losers qualification. Another player who's been steadily enhancing his reputation over the last year or so. Anyway, Van Boening hadn't got away with that. I have to say, Uski's been pretty clinical and effective in capitalising on the chances which have come his way in the last few racks. If he wins this, that would be 3 in a row, and it would be the first time that he's been level since it was 2-all. So what's he going to be thinking now, Carl? I mean, here he is. He's playing all right, you have to say. Playing by far the better of the two at the moment. Nothing wrong with this at all. So he's standing up to the pressure well here. But what does it do to a player's thinking? He's got the opportunity here to beat the reigning world champion, one of the all-time greats, in front of the cameras.
He's lost the cue ball here. He has lost the cue ball. He has got away with that one though. He's caught the 9-ball full and it stayed and he's got an angle, but is the cue ball going to be running? If he plays this with top, even top left, is the cue ball going to be running into the 7? Well, we'll find out in a minute. Yes, Michael, what is he thinking? That's the thing, isn't it? That's what makes a winner a winner.
Can you remember the first time you beat one of the big established names in this sort of setting?
Yeah, I was about 11 years old or something like that.
About the same age as some of the players we've seen winning matches on the big tables here this week.
Just waltzed in on the summer holidays and beat them all.
I guess for someone like you, I mean, you're such a laid-back character, you probably didn't let things like that get in your head at all, but Uski looks a bit more of an intense individual.
Yeah, that's the thing. I suppose everyone's different, aren't they? It's just how you deal with it. But, you know, winning breeds confidence. And if Jani Uski can go on to win this match, well, he's going to be feeling so good for the rest of this event, isn't he? Thin one on the 7 here.
It's little things, isn't it? You think back to when Van Boening was 7-4 in front, scratched off the break in rack 12. And it's been yet another turning point in this match. But this one is not done yet. Requires a bit of attention on this shot.
Yeah, he's got to float it in, I think. Or is he stunning it? He's played the stun, he's played it well. We're about to go 7-7. It's going to be a best of 3.
And Uski will go into that with all the momentum. 3 in a row for the man from Finland. And for the first time since it was 2-all, he's now level in this match. What a chance he's got to beat the world champion. It's 7-all. What's going on elsewhere? Oliver Shalnocki has won 7 in a row now against Sochaux and leads 7-4. David O'Cady perhaps starting to pull away a bit. 6-3 over Davy Pierre Giovanni. Mieszko Fortunski still battling to try and shake off Spencer Oliver. He leads 8-6. Sebastian Barkowski 7-6 in front against Mario He. Karol Skaversky 7-4 over Mark Beisterbosch. Imran Majid leading 7-4 against Mustafa Alnar. Valery Kulayant 7-4 up against Chris Alexander. Mateusz Sniagotsky has just got to the hill at 8-5 against Max Lechner. Naoki Oi 4-0 up on Jan van Lierop. And Darren Appleton 2-1 in front in the early stages against Wojciech Szewczyk. Pius Labutis of Lithuania has a 2-0 lead over Khalid Al-Ghamdi, the young man from Saudi Arabia who beat Skylar Woodward yesterday. That was an upset. This would be a much bigger one if Uski can find a couple more racks here.
He's breaking better. The 1 ball deposits into the side. 3 balls, the lowest ball on the table, and he has a shot. He has a shot at it in his left corner. The big thing for me in this match, regardless of the result, because, you know, at the end of the day, Jani's going to be feeling a bit of pressure, is at least you can see there's something to do on the break shot now. You can see that Jani has broke better than Shane, and maybe that's what has helped Jani come back into this match, because Shane was looking good early on. Oh, he's not 4-railed again. He's done one of these already. Surely not. Surely not again.
Has it got the legs? Yeah, it was a 2-ball earlier on the match, wasn't it? I mean, that was very nearly the same thing again. Oh, but that's a big moment. You don't need me to tell you from that expression that he knows it. Yeah, that was a ball you can miss, but if you're trying to beat the world champion, that's the sort of ball you can't let pass you by. So what a chance for Van Boening to lead again now.
It's all about this opening shot. How good does he get on this 4-ball? Not great. May have to play this into the top left corner. He was playing for it in the left centre. He's landed a little shy of pace. He would play this in the left centre if he feels he can run off the 8-ball. He's gone in the corner, and it's in the heart of the pocket. This is where these players are so good, though. When it's a big rack like this, Michael, they just do it, don't they? Time and time again, they just find a way to clear up.
It's all starting to feel a bit similar to earlier today, the match you and I were commentating on, Carl. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz struggling all the way against Michael Schneider. But once he started making a bit of a comeback, you sort of felt he was going to get the job done, and he did, winning the last 4 racks for a 9-8 victory.
Well, he's played a shocker there. He was trying to draw the cue ball back to play the 6 in the same pocket. He's under it that by 1.5 feet.
Even he is not immune to the pressure of a close finish.
Playing it in the side, blind pocket shot, well judged.
Just underway over on table 2 between Dimitri Yungo and Mika Immonen. Now that's losers qualification, remember, so whoever's beaten in that will be out. Not the case here. There'll be one more shot in losers qualification for whoever is beaten.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning something, Michael, that we haven't mentioned yet. If you go through winners qualification round, you keep your seed in the draw. So if Shane goes on to lose this, Jani takes his seed spot. Shane then becomes a random floater in the draw later this evening. That is big, because he could go from being a seed and avoiding Filler, Albin, all these monsters, to going into the losers side, if he qualifies, he could get drawn against one of them.
I'll tell you, there are going to be some very dangerous players coming through on that loser's side. But Shane Van Boening has done his best there to avoid going into that territory. And he's now on the hill at 8-7. And we often see this, don't we, when someone's trying to pull off a big upset. The key is, can they get in front at any stage? Now, Jani Uski did lead 2-0 early on in the match, but from 5-2 down, he's never been able to get his nose in front. He drew level at 7-all. Van Boening needed the response. He's produced it there. And if Uski is to lead again in this match, it can only be at the very end. Naoki Oi now leads Jan van Lierop 5-0. Sebastian Barkowski is through. He's beaten Mario He 9-6 in the last few minutes. Mieszko Fortunski has finally shaken off the determined challenge of Spencer Oliver 9-6. David O'Cady's performance on the main table yesterday disintegrated after a promising start. He needed better today. Signs are he's producing it, because he's 7-4 up now against Davy Pierre Giovanni. Van Boening on the hill.
This is what I mean, the players, there's a skill to this break shot now. The old break, there was no skill to it. Now there's a skill. They're trying to put the one in the side. Yet again, Shane misses. Fair enough, he got close, he hit the point. But it's a dry break. And I think he said, I can't make a bowler, just translated. If Shane does go on to win this match, he will be trying to find a pool table somewhere in this building, and he'll put about 15 hours straight in on the break. He will correct this break, believe me. It's a chance, Michael. This is a chance.
You talked about the skill of the break. Van Boening wasn't able to bring it there. The next best thing is if he can have luck, and he didn't. He left enough of that one sticking out for Uski. And all the signs of recent racks. Okay, he's missed a couple of balls, but when he's had chances like this, overall he's been pretty effective. He's got to stay out of his own head here. Yes, he's not absolutely ideal on this 2 in terms of getting on the 3, but he's not far off it, really. One or two signs, he's overthinking things again.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to hold position because he knows the pink 4 ball is going to be the big shot. Cue ball looks a little pacey. Watch the 6 ball, folks. Watch the 6 ball. He's hooked himself. Oh my word, he has hooked himself.
And again, I can't help feeling, and you would know better than I, Carl, with all your experience, there may have been a very different outcome to that shot if he just got down and played it once he saw it. And now he's put himself in a position where one wrong move could be his last.
I think he could jump this ball, though. He's not looked at it yet. Well, I mean, he will have looked at it, but he's not. Well, he prefers the one-rail kick. One-rail kick it is. If he pots this ball, he's favourite for the rack. If he misses it, fair enough, we don't know where they're going to land. Oh my word, he didn't even hit the 3, and he scratched. Oh my word. I suppose the only good thing is the pink 4 is awkward, isn't it? At least they're not just all over the pocket. There's a bit of hope left for Jani.
One thing you can't fault is the effort he's put in here, maybe a bit too much at times. The expression there as he slumps into his chair of a man who feels all of that effort may in the end come to nothing. Oliver Sholnocki has completed that turnaround. 9 in a row to beat So Shaw, 9-4.
So he's going to be potting the 7, and it's all about where the 9 and the 4 goes. It's all about where the 4 goes. Can he chip this in and get the cue ball to stay up the top end of the table to then play a combo on the 5 or a carom, depending on where the cue ball finishes. This is not over yet. This is thin. But he's made it. He has made it. Combination for the win to book your place into the last 64.
Well, he was 2-0 down before he got involved in the match. He looked like he might streak away with it at 5-2. He led by 3 again at 7-4. Got pegged back to 7-all. But with that combination, Shane Van Boening finally closes it out.